morning. Or I said good morning. I already screwed it up. See, there you go, Neil. Len, I'm sure I'll hear about that later. Good evening. It's great to be with you. I'm C.T. Harris, Youth Director here at FPC. If you don't know who I am, then you probably haven't been around too much. I think I'm going on nearly over 7 years now with the church. So it is great to sit in for Neil. He will be back from Ireland in just a couple of days, and we will be glad to have him back, unlike Len's little message that he sent last week when we were all supposed to say hooray that he was still gone. He probably didn't do it this week because Neil's almost back, so he didn't want to get in trouble. So we will be very glad to have Pastor Neil back, so say your prayers for safe travels for him in the next couple of days. A couple announcements before we start the rest of the weekly update. These pesky things, sorry, I went the wrong direction. These masks are still required in worship and in the building at all times through the end of the calendar year. We will assess that approach as we enter 2022 and see where we need to be. But until then, please keep bringing and wearing your masks. I just do see another note here that Neil's returning actually on the 29th, so in 2 days he'll be back. Kids Connection, Youth Connection are underway, and as soon as I finish this up, I will run downstairs and do Youth Connection. Shara will be doing Kids Connection tonight as well. If you tuned in today hoping to see another puppet show, my parents gave me many good things in life, but puppetry was not one of the skills they gifted me with, so you will not be seeing Turt or Bit, unfortunately. I'm sure they'll make another appearance here shortly, but not tonight. ICASA is hosting a free, fun movie night on Saturday, October 30th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. They'll be showing the children's film Luca. If you haven't seen Luca, it's very cute, very fun. Kids love it. Adults love it. Everyone is welcome to attend with ICASA. The film will be in English, and there will be a prize drawing for those that attend, so sort of a not Halloween necessarily celebration, but maybe a fall celebration with ICASA. There is a quilt sale going on. The Thursday Sewing Group will be displaying their beautiful quilts in the Red Hall throughout November. Each quilt will have a price tag on it, and if you're interested in buying that, you can do that, or you can purchase several. The proceeds will go to support the missions of FPC. Stewardship 2022 is about to kick off. Keep an eye out in our newsletter and during our updates for the FPC 2022 Stewardship campaign beginning in November. And finally, there is a youth bonfire on November 5. That's a Friday evening, 7:30 to 9:30 at Tim and Becca Fletcher's house. I sent out an email today to all the parents. So if you have anything, any questions, that should be addressed in that email, including the forms and all that sort of thing. And if you have more questions, please contact me anytime. I should say hi, especially to Kathy and Meg and Dale. I see you guys are all online, and Shara as well. Special thanks to you, Shara, for helping me set all this up. I was a little intimidated today coming in with all this technology. Again, as I mentioned earlier, my parents gave me a lot of things, but technological skills is probably somewhere below average in terms of what they have given me. So I don't mean to throw them under the bus. They're wonderful parents, but they don't always give me the things that I wish they had. So, all right, a few prayer requests as well. As you know, one of the things that keeps us connected as a church, we do this weekly update. This is part of how we stay connected. It's part of how we share information, but more importantly, it's how we intertwine our hearts. And so as we sort of think about each other and the people that we don't get to see as often, there are certainly prayer requests that come forward. Eric Esterly's mom, who has been in our prayers for a bunch, needs relief from her day-to-day pain. We praise the Lord that she's found good doctors and that are helping her heal little by little, but please keep her in your prayers. Peggy Klein is at home rebuilding her strength, so continue to pray for Peggy. I should also, as a side note, mention it's Becca Fletcher's birthday today, so I'm sure Peggy is thinking of her daughter just like all of us are, and if you get a chance or you have contact information for Becca, please wish her a happy birthday. I don't know everyone's birthday. I only know that one specifically because I was talking to Tim yesterday. So Audrey Eichhoff, let's pray for her. She's getting stronger every day, but she still needs our continued support and prayers. And of course for Cameroon, which I'm trying to think of when we started praying for Cameroon. It's been at least four years, I think. It just doesn't seem to get any better. It's still more violence, murders in the small villages, and in the English-speaking portion of the country particularly. So please lift up Cameroon. David Mork, one of our former members, is battling colon cancer. Please pray for him. Bill Fairman has moved to Encore. he is cared for and comfortable. Please continue prayers for Bill and the families. This has been tough on all of them. For Bill Cleary, Sue Hunt's youngest brother, who has aggressive metastatic cancer, please pray for Bill. And for Andrea Esterly's mom, gratefully she has completed all of her cancer treatments, but she continues with the ongoing maintenance of those things, and that's a grind in and of itself. So please pray for Andrea's mom. So those are the requests that we have. As I mentioned at the start of those, one of the ways that we stay in touch with each other and connected with each other and feel like a family is to pray for each other. And so I very much encourage you to do that. Just maybe grab one of those requests this week and pray for those and see if there's some way that God can put on your heart that you can minister to those in need. So, okay, so my thought for the day, and this will probably be shorter than Neil typically does. My thought for the day is this, and I'll tell you a little bit of a story first. I just came back from Colorado. If you don't know, my wife has family ties from Colorado from long ago. My sister lives in Colorado. And when Kale and I first started dating and then subsequently got married, we have made it a routine, a habit to go to Colorado at least once a year, if not twice a year. Sometimes we go for a Broncos game. We always go hiking. Last year we went, did both of those things. We didn't go to a Broncos game, but we went hiking, and then we went to Copper Mountain to ski for a week. We have sort of adopted Colorado as our second home. The dream one day would be to have a place there, or I don't know if I necessarily want to move there because I really like being here in Minnesota, but if I did move anywhere else, it would probably be there. And so when MEA came around this year, the timing was good for Kayla to take an extra day off, and we had a break from programming, and so we decided to go to Colorado. And when we go, we try to stay in a different town almost every time we go. I mean, sometimes we stay right in Denver, a suburb of Denver, but more often we stay in communities around Boulder. We really like Boulder. We like Golden. Those are very expensive areas. So we're kind of been trying out some of the different small areas around there just to see where we like best in Colorado. I call it research. So we went to this town called Longmont. If you haven't been to Longmont, it's about 20 minutes from Boulder. It's considered where the quote-unquote real people live that can't afford to live in Boulder. So the people that work in Boulder often live in Longmont. And so we stayed in this really nice little neighborhood there, this little carriage house, Airbnb. Had a great time. Went hiking 3 times. My wife dragged me up about 15 miles of mountains and about 6,000 feet of elevation. Went really well the first 2 days. The last day, my body was in revolt, but I made it through and had just a great time. If you follow me on Facebook, you can see some of my pictures there. One of the other things that we usually do when we go to that area is we stop in Boulder just for a couple hours to get a meal, or I like to buy something on campus at University of Colorado, or to go to Pearl Street. If you've been to Boulder before, you know that Pearl Street is sort of like the walking mall. It's like the Nicollet Mall of the Boulder area. It's a street of, 8 blocks or so that doesn't allow cars to go through, only pedestrian traffic. It's blocked off. And there are often street performers and tons of shops and great little restaurants and coffee. I mean, everything you can think of that would be in a walking pedestrian mall area. It's very fun. I buy a Colorado hat every year I go, so my maroon one is worn out, so I bought this green one this year. I was very excited to get that hat. This year in particular, and we've done this enough that we don't really spend much time on Pearl Street. We usually go for like an hour tops, and then we kind of just go on our way. But this year we decided we had a couple of free hours, and so we thought we were going to walk down Pearl Street again. And it was a little crowded. It was Parents' Weekend at University of Colorado. And as we're walking down the street, we decided to go in a couple of these stores that have cool hiking stuff that we like Patagonia and North Face. And we came upon this store called Prana. And I don't mean this as an advertisement for Prana, but if you want to sponsor the show, you know how to reach me. Okay, so the store name is named Prana. Prana, not Prada. Prada is a different thing. But Prana. And so we go into this store. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but the minute I walked in that store, it was like I fell in love. I mean, there was a rack, like a wall of men's clothes, and I would have worn everything on that wall. I mean, not a single thing looked weird or bad or like I didn't like the colors. The fits were perfect. I mean, it just, like, it screamed, this is your style, right? I'm not a big shopper. I like to buy things now and then, and I do like nicer clothes. I'd rather spend a little more to get something quality. But as I walk through the store, I begin to feel sort of this sense of danger. Like, if I'm in here very long, I am going to go broke. Or I'm going to have to try and buy all this stuff without my wife watching and then run to the car and put it in the back before she can see, and I didn't think that was possible. So we started looking. We went downstairs. There was a bargain basement area. I got a pair of pants. Kayla got a pair of pants. And they were like 70% off. That was exciting. But I wanted the stuff in that store. I mean, really wanted it. You know, even to the point where I would try something on and say, hey, honey, does this look nice on me? You know, that hint that you give sometimes. And she would graciously say yes, in that tone of voice that means yes, but not for that price. So I put it back and try again, and it didn't work. So anyway, we finally left the store. And as we were walking out, I remember saying to Kayla, I could buy that entire store and not think twice about it. And she said, well, you would have to think twice about it. But anyway, that's another story. So we leave the store, and I'm still sort of in that headspace where I'm thinking about all those things I wanted to have, all those things I wanted to buy. And it was at the end of Pearl Street, and so as we start to walk back up the other way, I get almost accosted by a woman who I believe had schizophrenia or some sort of condition. She's clearly homeless, and she accuses me of being a boulderite who only cares about money, and I'm not a boulderite. But the accusation sort of stung. I didn't respond. It wasn't really the place for me to get in a conversation or an argument about that. But then as I started to keep walking down the street, I saw other people sitting and holding signs that said, we'll work for food, or can you spare some change for a veteran, or various messages. Pearl Street is sort of a place where people go to try to seek out people that would help them. And I was reminded of the verse in Matthew that says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. That's the King James Version. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And I was struck by that in that moment, because here I am, a white male, plenty of privilege, wearing it, like a badge, in a very expensive clothing store, disappointed that I couldn't buy those things. Although I could have, I was disappointed that I didn't, and yet there were people on the street that didn't have anything to eat, or anywhere to live, or anyone to help them with their mental health issues. And I was really struck by that. Now, I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty. I know we all have different ideas of things that we want, and God has gifted and blessed each of us differently and with different skills and abilities, and there's no judgment here. Mostly just judging myself, that in that moment I was convicted to say that my treasure that I would have stored up on that day would not have been in anyone else's pocket but my own. And it probably would not have been a heavenly treasure. It would have been an earthly treasure. I was really convicted by that on that day. And I don't know if that means anything to you, and I don't know if that resonates with any of you. And I'm not even really sure that that's my normal. I don't really think that every day I'm like, that's where my treasure is in the stuff that I have. But it was that day. And so I need to have that reminder all the time that my treasure on a daily basis, every day, needs to be stored up in heavenly things and not in things of this earth. That's a little bit of my thought for the day. If you want to read a little bit more about that, Matthew 6, verse 21, and then the subsequent couple verses after that deal with that. And Jesus has a lot to say about wealth in particular. And every time I'm sort of feeling a little bit selfish, it helps me to go back and read some of those things and about Jesus' perspective on the things of this earth versus the things that are not of this earth that are of the most value. So that's my thought for the day. It's been a pleasure to be with you this week for the weekly update. Hopefully Neil will let Shar and I do this in the future. Maybe I can even talk Sharon to let me participate in one of the puppet shows one of these times because I need some training before I do that. But again, it's been very much a pleasure to spend this time with you. And for all those that are tuning in live, it's great to be with you. For those that will watch this later, you are loved, and I can't wait to see you in person. And thank you for being here on this weekly update. So that's it for October 27. Next week, I believe that's the 3rd, if my memory serves. Neil will be back in this chair and probably have some pretty good stories to tell you about Ireland. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Take care.